Hello everyone. Welcome, Chag Sameach. Wow, what a great way to celebrate the end of the high holiday season, which is Simchat Torah. The last little bit. And it's the Festival of Unity. Let's see who else is here. Hi, Rochelle Pinkovic, Yehuda Cherny, Brechia Zichri, of course, from the UK. Whew. Freilich evening. Yeah. It's Simchat Torah is fantastic. It's all about celebration. We celebrate that we went through one full cycle of Torah readings, and we're about to begin again. Next Shabbat we're going to read Bereshit, all back to the beginning. And it's a great thing that the Shabbat Bereshit, the Shabbat of the beginning, is going to be the first Shabbat with people in the pews celebrating Shabbat in person at the Shaarey Zedek, so that's great. Hello, Rina Sectoral Buzz. Welcome, Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach to all of you. Yeah, I love Simchat Torah, such a joyous celebration. Hi, Shelly Chochinov. Welcome. I forgot that I can actually show the messages. Hi, Mara. Welcome. We have Jerome Fomin. He said Chag Sameach to everyone. Shelly said Chag Sameach to all. Very nice. Yeah, we are about to... I guess this is Ronen using my wife's account. Says, hi, Papa. Hi, son. Welcome, Chag Sameach. We're about to start with a big virtual celebration in a very special way. By the way, you will see it's a little bit different for what we did last year, because it's crazy that it's the second year in a row that we did virtual Simchat Torah, that we couldn't do it at the Shaarey Zedek. It used to be so nice in the building when we used to unfurl the entire scroll. We will go all around the big auditorium at the Shaarey Zedek, opening the entire scroll of Torah, so people will have an opportunity to have a guided tour, so you can see the special parts of the Torah, the way it's written, the calligraphy. It was a great thing. Hopefully we will be able to do it next year, but because we cannot get in person, we did selected parts of the Torah, and Leslie Emery was explaining a little bit what's going on, and it's going to be actually than in between the Hakafot. Hello, Carlos Shore and Anna. Welcome. Chag Sameach. Bell is here as well. Welcome, Bell. Chanievsky, Chag Sameach. Charlotte Deer is also here. Chag Sameach, Havadim. Very nice in Hebrew. Yeah. And yeah, it's going to be intercalated with the Hakafot. So the way we do it, Simchat Torah, is we take the Torah out of the ark, and we dance with the Torah 7 times. Sometimes the ideal way to do it is we do all we walk around the synagogue and things. But you will see we did it in a nice way with lots of music. My mom is here. Hola, mami. Chag Sameach. All the way from Argentina. She made it. Very good. Glad that you remembered. And yeah, so that's the way we are going to do it. So with that introduction, I hope you're ready to follow along this virtual celebration of Simchat Torah. We are going to begin with Leslie explaining a little bit some of the things on the Torah, and then the entire team, which is myself, Leslie, Rina, Tali, and Bill. We recorded some singing and some explanations. So, of course, Marvin Polanski did all the recording of that video and audio, and then it was edited so we can all enjoy this celebration. After the Hakafot are done, you're going to see me again, and we are going to proceed to read the end of the Torah, the last little bit of Deuteronomy, and then the very beginning of the Torah, the creation of the world, the book of Bereshit. Before we go to that, a few more hellos and Chag Sameach. Hello, Priscilla. Welcome. Chag Sameach. And we have Esther Herat, Chag Sameach, from Newfoundland. Wow, welcome. So I know we have people from all over the world. So I guess I should say that we are broadcasting from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It's 7:10 p.m. Central Time. And if you ever want to tune into our services, the best thing you can do right now is to subscribe to our channel. If you're on YouTube or on Facebook, subscribe to our channel. And if you're on YouTube, hit the bell so you will be notified every time we go live or every time we upload something to our channels. Very nice. Claudette is here from New York City. Let's begin with celebration with the first Hakafa.
As we scroll through the Torah, we come across 5 different books, the 5 books of Moses. And you can visually see when a book ends and the next book begins. Because if you take a look inside of our scroll, there's a really nice space between the two, indicating that we're finishing one book and beginning the next one. If you look at the wording within the first 2 words, you can see the name of the book. We are in the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus at the very beginning at this part of our Torah scroll. And as we go along, we'll scroll across other books as well. Atareta ladat, ki Adonai hu Elohim einod milvado.
Atareta ladat, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, אינות מלבדו.
לעושה נפלאות גדולות לבדו, כי לעולם חסדו.
לעושה נפלאות גדולות לבדו, כי לעולם חסדו.
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך.
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך.
יהי כבוד אדוני לעולם, יצמח אדוני במעשיו.
יהי כבוד אדוני לעולם, יצמח אדוני במעשיו.
יהי שם אדוני מבורך, מעתה ועד עולם.
יהי שם אדוני מבורך, מעתה ועד עולם.
יהי אדוני אלוהינו עמנו, כאשר היה עם אבותינו, אל יעזבנו ואל יטשנו.
יהי אדוני אלוהינו עמנו, כאשר היה עם אבותינו, אל יעזבנו ואל יטשנו.
ואמרו הושיענו אלוהי אישנו, וקבצנו והצילנו מן הגויים, להודות לשם קודשך, להשתבח בתהילתך.
ואמרו הושיענו אלוהי אישנו, וקבצנו והצילנו מן הגויים, להודות לשם קודשך, להשתבח בתהילתך.
אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
ויהיו נא אמרינו לרצון לפני אדון כל.
ויהיו נא אמרינו לרצון לפני אדון כל.
We're on page 61, and I'd like to invite Bill to open the ark for us. ויהי בנצוע אהרון ויאמר משה,
קומה אדוני ויפוצו אויביך וינוס משנאיך מפניך.
ויהי בנסוערום ויאמר משה קומה אדוני ויפוצו אויביך ומשנאיך מפניך.
קומה אדוני למנוחתך אתה ואהרון עוזך.
קומה אדוני למנוחתך אתה ואהרון עוזך.
כהניך ילבשו צדק וחסידיך ירננו.
כהניך ילבשו צדק וחסידיך ירננו.
בעבור דוד עבדך אל תשב פני משיחך.
בעבור דוד עבדך אל תשב פני משיחך.
ואמר ביום ההוא הנה אלוהינו זה קיווינו לו וישוענו זה אדוני קיווינו לו נגילה ונשמחה בישועתו.
ואמר ביום ההוא הנה אלוהינו זה קיווינו לו ויושיענו זה אדוני קיווינו לו נגילה ונשמחה בישועתו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים.
כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים.
אב הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך ציון תבנה חומות ירושלים.
אב הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון תבנה חומות ירושלים.
כי בך לבד בטחנו מלך ארם ונישא אדון עולמים.
כי בך לבד בטחנו מלך אל רם ונישא אדון עולמים.
We're now ready to begin with our first official Hakafah on page 62. Bill is going to have our first scroll for us, ready to dance and celebrate.
Ana Adonai Hoshiana. Ana Adonai Hatzlichana. Ana Adonai Eneinu Veyom Korenu. Ay ay ay. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Elohei Haruchot Hoshiana. Bochen Levavot Hatzlichana. Goel Chazakanenu Veyom Korenu. Ay ay ay. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Anenu Anenu Veyom Korenu. Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Venisecha. Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Venisecha. Hava Neranena Hava Neranena Hava Neranena Venisecha. Hava Neranena Hava Neranena Hava Neranena Venisecha. Uru Uru Achim Urachim El Sameach Urachim El Sameach Urachim El Sameach Urachim El Sameach Urachim Ranana, Venisaka, Havana, Ranana, Havana, Ranana, Havana, Ranana, Venisaka, Uru, Achim, Urachim, El Sameach, Urachim, El Sameach, Urachim, El Sameach, Urachim, El Sameach, Urachim, Urachim,
Belev
All right. Here we have one of the most beautiful, beautiful parts of the Torah scroll, Az Yashir Moshe. You can find it also in Sidurim, laid out in a very similar way. One thing that makes it jump out at you is that you can visualize the sea parting and how this poem is laid out. On the right and the left side, there are columns of their own representing the sea splitting, and in the center, like Bnei Israel, crossing safely to the other side. This part we read at the morning Minyan regularly, and I'll chant the beginning for you all to hear. Az Yashir Moshe u'Bnei Yisrael et hashira hazot l'Adonai vayomru lemor Hashira l'Adonai ki gaoga sus veroch voramavayam. As you read further into it, you'll find some other very famous words in our Torah scroll. The mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh fele. These words are also recited at every service at synagogue, and they come from within our Torah scroll.
Dover tzedakot Hoshiana Hadur bilbusho Hatzlichana Vatik v'chasidanenu V'yom korenu Ay, 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 anenu, anenu V'yom korenu Anenu, anenu V'yom korenu Anenu, anenu V'yom korenu Anenu, anenu V'yom korenu Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom, shalom, shalom alechem Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom, shalom, shalom alechem
Heveinu
Shalom alechem Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom alechem Heveinu shalom, shalom, shalom alechem.
We're going to take a pause to look at the 10 Commandments in our Torah scroll. You'll see it starts over here with Vayedaber Elohim et kol advarim ha'ele lemor. And it goes into all of the commandments. Visually, the 10 Commandments pop out at us. If you look over here, they're laid out in a very special way as we go through them. And there's this nice, neat line of lo, no, the things that we are not going to do. But at the beginning, where we began, there are commandments of the things that we are going to do. And so we read this part of the Torah scroll every year. And it's a beautiful portion to take a look at. And now for our third hakafa. Zach ve'yashar Hoshiana Omer dalim
Hatzlichana.
Tov u'metivenu b'yom korenu. Ay, 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 anenu, anenu b'yom korenu. Anenu, anenu b'yom korenu. Anenu, anenu b'yom korenu. Anenu, anenu b'yom korenu. David melech Yisrael chai chai v'kayam. 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 David melech Yisrael chai chai v'kayam.
David
Melech Yisrael, chai chai v'kayam. David Melech Yisrael, chai chai v'kayam. David Melech Yisrael, chai chai v'kayam. Okay, here we go. Here is another section of the Torah scroll that always pops out while I'm reading. You'll see over here there's a giant resh, along with this line, Lo tishtachave el acher. This means, do not bow to other gods. Acher. It's very important that you end acher with that resh, or you change the meaning of the entire passage. A resh and a dalet in Hebrew are very similar looking letters, and you'll find at the end of the Shema, the dalet in the word echad is also enlarged to make sure that we don't make that mistake, that we read acher as other and echad as one.
Fourth הקפה. יודע מחשבות הושיענה כביר ונאור הצליקנה לובש צדקות ענינו ביום קורנו ay ay ay
Anenu, anenu, b'yom koreinu. Anenu, anenu, b'yom koreinu. Anenu, anenu, b'yom koreinu. Anenu, anenu, b'yom koreinu. הושיע את עמך ונברך את נחלתך. מורם ונעשה עד העולם. מורם ונעשה עד העולם. הושיע את עמך ונברך את נחלתך. מורם ונעשה עד העולם. ונעשה עד העולם. הושיע את עמך ומברך את נחלתך. ונעשה עד העולם.
Here we find the beginning of the book of Vayikra. And if you look inside of our scroll, I've always noticed the Aleph. The Aleph is a little bit smaller than the rest of the letters. And there's a midrash explaining why. That when God called Moses, well, Moshe was humble. And Moshe wasn't sure about writing that down, that Moses was called directly by God. Maybe they just encountered each other. However, Moses was called, Moshe was called, and so we have this little aleph here indicating Vayikra el Moshe. Careful. Okay. And we're now ready for our fifth hakafa. Melech olamim Hoshiana Naor vehadir Hatzlichana Somech noflim aneinu Heyom korenu Ay, 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 anenu, anenu v'yom korenu Anenu, anenu v'yom korenu Anenu, anenu v'yom korenu Anenu, anenu v'yom korenu Simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov yehelanu Simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov yehelanu 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 ulecho Yisrael yehelanu yehelanu ulecho Yisrael yehelanu yehelanu ulecho Yisrael yehelanu yehelanu ulecho Yisrael. All right. When we look inside the scroll, now we've made it all the way to the final book in the Torah scroll, the book of Deuteronomy. And there are all kinds of interesting parts of the Torah repeated, kind of like the highlights. They're also included again. You'll see over here we have the 10 Commandments written again that we looked at earlier. And in the next column, we have the Shema. And as you see, as I mentioned earlier, we have this giant Dalet to make sure that we read this word as Echad. And let's sing this first paragraph of the Shema together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. And now for our sixth hakafa. Ozer dalim Hoshiana Hodeh umatzil Hatzlichana Tzur olamim aneinu Ve'yom korenu Ay, 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 anenu, anenu Ve'yom korenu Anenu, anenu Ve'yom korenu Anenu, anenu Ve'yom korenu Anenu, anenu Ve'yom korenu Yismechu hashamayim Shamayim Yismechu hashamayim Shamayim Yismechu hashamayim Metagel haaretz Yismechu hashamayim Shamayim Yismechu hashamayim Shamayim Yismechu hashamayim Metagel haaretz Yiramayam 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 השמיים
שמיים
ישמחו השמיים
שמיים
ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. So when you read regularly from the Torah scroll, you notice a few things about it. One thing is that the columns are beautifully lined up on each side in straight lines, the original justified font, but you couldn't just push a button to make it look this way. You had to use your eye and make it beautiful. Scrolls have these lovely, very, very lightly pressed indentations on them that the scribes use to help make sure that each line is straight. And sometimes, to make a letter fit a line and make sure they all fit, some letters end up getting stretched out. And you'll find those when you read. This is a poem towards the end of the Torah scroll, Ha'azinu. And it sounds like poetry when you learn it. It's tricky to learn because the Hebrew is very different. It's not written as though you're reading the other parts of the scroll. It's written as poetry, and maybe you'll hear a little bit of it as I chant it for you. Ha'azinu hashamayim v'adabera v'tishma ha'aretz imrei pi yarov kamatar likhi tizal katal imrati kesirim ale deshe v'chirvivim ale esev ki shem Adonai ekra havu godel Eloheinu. This poem continues along and is beautifully scribed. I've always been kind of fascinated by it. And here it goes. This is the second last parsha in our Torah scroll as we move towards the very end. Vezot habracha. And now we are ready for our seventh hakafah.
Yay!
Woohoo! All right, are you ready to dance? I think we are. Kadosh v'nora Hoshiana Rachum v'chanun Hatzlichana Shomer habrit haneinu Neyom koreinu Ay, 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 anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu Anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu Anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu Anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu Tomer temimim Hoshiana Takif lad Hatzlichana Tamim b'masavanenu Neyom koreinu Ay, 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 anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu Anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu Anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu Anenu, anenu v'yom koreinu. Sisu et Jerusalem giluva Giluva kol ohavea Sisu et Jerusalem giluva Giluva kol ohavea Al chomotayich ir David ifkareti shomrim Kol hayom v'chol halayla Al chomotayich ir David ifkareti shomrim Kol hayom v'chol halayla Sisu et Jerusalem giluva Giluva kol ohavea Sisu et Jerusalem giluva Giluva kol ohavea
אל תדבר, אל תחת עבדי יעקב, כי יפוצו משנאיך. אל תדבר, אל תחת עבדי יעקב, כי יפוצו משנאיך מפניך.
Sisu et Jerusalem giluva, giluva kol ohavea Sisu et Jerusalem giluva, giluva kol ohavea. And now we finished with our seventh. I'm going to do this again. Blah, 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 blah. And now we've finished with our seventh hakafah. Our hakafot are finished. And we're going to continue with our service on page 63, the Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'norah Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'norah Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai iti, u'neromema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai agedula ve'agevura ve'atiferet ve'anetzach ve'ahod. Kicho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, kicho b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai הממלכה והמתנשא לכל לראש. And now we'll prepare for the first reading.
Well, that was quite uplifting. The seven hakafot, a little virtual tour of the Torah, so you could see some highlights, some interesting things that you will find if you follow the reading of the Torah year after year. You start discovering all these little things, the gaps in between, the special letters, and that it's amazing. What a wonderful book. It's not only inspirational, but it's also beautiful. It's a beautiful scroll of Torah. And now we proceed with the actual reading of the last part of the Torah and the beginning of the Torah. For the reading of the last part of the Torah, we usually, when we do it in person, we call what is called the Chatan Torah. We honor somebody to have the aliyah for the last part of the Torah, the Chatan Torah, which basically means the groom of the Torah. In these days, sometimes when we honor a man, it's a Chatan Torah. When it's a woman, it's a Kalat Torah. But we don't get in person, so the idea that we have for this year is for the last reading of the Torah, we honor everybody who used to come to Shaarey Zedek, to our services in person, and then they stayed and they continue with the online, and they kept coming to our services. And then for the Hatam Bereshit, which is the one who is going to read the first part of the Torah, we are symbolically honoring all our new friends that we made along the way for the last 2 years. People that they never been physically to Shaarey Zedek, but nevertheless, they've been attending virtual services during pretty much the whole pandemic. And they are new friends, and we want to honor all of you with the beginning of the Torah. So first, to our old friends, to people who used to come to Shaarey Zedek for many years, even before we started to do the virtual services. To all of you, it's our great pleasure to honor you with the ending of the Torah. Congratulations, you are the Chatanim Chatanim Torah.
Here we go. This is the very last paragraph in our Torah scroll. Amen. Vaya'al Moshe marvot Moav har nevo Rosh hapiska asher al pnei Yericho Vayerehu Adonai et kol haaretz et Gilad Adan ואת כל נפתלי ואת ארץ אפרים ומנשה ואת כל ארץ יהודה עד הים האחרון ואת הנגב ואת הכיכר בקעת יריחו עיר התמרים עד צוהר ויאמר אדוני אליו זאת הארץ אשר נשבעתי לאברהם ליצחק ליעקב לאמור לזרעך אתננה הריתך בעיניך ושמה לא תעבור וימות שם משה עבד אדוני בארץ מואב על פי אדוני ויקבור אותו וגיא בארץ מואב מול בית פאור ולא ירדה איש את קבורתו עד היום הזה ומשה בן 120 שנה במותו לא חטא עינו ולא נסלחו ויבכו בני ישראל את משה בערבות מואב 30 יום ויתמו ימי בכי ומשה ויהושע בן נון מלא רוח חכמה כי שמח משה את ידיו אליו וישמעו אליו בני ישראל ויעשו כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה ולא קם נביא עוד בישראל כמשה אשר ידעו אדוני פנים אל פנים לכל האותות והמופתים אשר שלחו אדוני לעשות בארץ מצרים לפרעה ולכל עבדיו ולכל ארצו ולכל היד החזקה ולכל המורה הגדול אשר עשה משה לעיני כל ישראל.
Yesher Kochech, Leslie, for that beautiful reading. Yesher Kochechem, to all our old friends, all of you who's being part of Shaarey Zedek for year after year after year after year for many years. Some of you, I know, you're not even a first generation of people coming to Shaarey Zedek. Many of you, your parents and grandparents, used to come to Shaarey Zedek as well. So, congratulations, you were honored with that beautiful reading at the end of the Torah. And now, it's my great pleasure to honor everyone who are new friends of the Shaarey Zedek, the one who became friends for the last couple of years. And I know many of you, it's amazing. We are humbled of how many people keep choosing Shaarey Zedek as their spiritual home, even though they live in cities like New York, like even in the United Kingdom, and so many places that there are lots of synagogues, and you keep coming to Shaarey Zedek. That makes us so proud of what we do, and we want to thank you for your friendship and your support. And so you are going to be honored right now with the Chatan Breshit portion, which is a great honor reserved for someone who get honored with the reading of the very beginning of the Torah. So for all our new friends, this next beautiful reading, this is for you.
This is the very beginning of the Torah scroll. The first word and the first book in the Torah scroll are the same, Breshit. And the first letter in the Torah is a bet. We always begin reading the Torah again once we've completed reading the scroll, because the Torah never ends. We never stop reading Torah at shul. And I'm going to chant for you the very first parsha. Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz ve'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu ve'choshech al pnei tehom ve'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim Vayomer Elohim yehi or vayehi or vayar Elohim et haor ki tov vayavdel Elohim ben haor uven hachoshech vayikra Elohim lahor yom velachoshech kara laila Vayehi erev vayehi boker yom echad.
Yasher Kochech, Leslie, once again, beautiful reading, and Yasher Kochechem to all of you who were honored with the very beginning of the Torah. So, what a wonderful thing to have the old-timers and the new friends all together celebrating Simchat Torah. And this is what Simchat Torah is all about. In fact, the rabbis mention something very interesting. What is it that we finish the cycle of Torah dancing? Why not making like a big class or a panel or a discussion? Well, I believe this is the genius of the rabbis, when they say that no, if what we want is to be all together, and sometimes to have a Torah class is exclusive, because if you're not familiar with the Torah, it's going to be very difficult to follow. And so what is something that it could get it all together? It doesn't matter if you're a scholar or you never opened the book before. Dancing. All you have to do is to show up and move. There is no choreography, nothing that you have to prepare, nothing you have to study. Spontaneous. It's just to feel the joy by dancing. So when we dance, we don't know who is the scholar and who is the one who doesn't know anything about Torah. So this is a beautiful way to close the high holiday season with a message of unity, with a message that in Torah we're all united. We all have our part in Torah. We can all be inspired by the Torah. It doesn't matter how much you know. There is always something new that you can learn from the Torah, always something that can inspire you to become a better self. So, as I say, it's a wonderful, wonderful book. So, if you want to have a life experience, tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Winnipeg time, which is Central Time, we are going to have the morning for Simchat Torah. And we are going to have more singing and more dancing, and it's going to be all live. So I would like to invite you to participate tomorrow morning. Remember, 7:30 Central Time. We are going to be live from the main sanctuary of Congregation Shaarey Zedek. So, and thank you so much to all of you for participating on this virtual experience. I hope it was family friendly. We didn't want to do it too long. And now it's time to wrap up. The whole team is going to be back on screen, putting the Torah back in the ark. And so we can finish this service and get ready for tomorrow morning, remember, at 7:30. So I would like to thank again the whole team that participated in the recording of the Hakafot and all the singing. We thank Leslie Emery, Tali Milo, Rina Sektor-Baz, Bill Weisman, and of course an audiovisual director, Marvin Polanski, who was behind the controls, controlling the camera and the sound, so we can have the video. And then I brought everything home to my computer, and I can do the post-production video, so we can all enjoy this. Again, my name is Rabbi Aníbal Mas. You can see it there on my screen. I'm the spiritual leader of Congregation Shaarey Zedek, and it's a great honor to have you coming to our home day after day, week after week, month after month, now year after year. Thank you so much. Chag Sameach, and it's time to return the Torah to the Ark.
Hallelujah, et Shem Adonai, ki niskav Shemo levado. Hodo al eretz b'shamayim v'yarem keren le'amot. Tehila, tehila, lechol hasidav, livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Etz chaim hi lamachazikim bo betomcheha meushar deracheha darchei noam bechol netivoteha Shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva. Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu, Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Chag Sameach, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Simchat Torah celebration, and we hope to see you soon.
Chag Sameach, everyone.
Chag Sameach.
Thank you for tuning in, and hope to see you soon in person, maybe for Hanukkah.
Maybe. Good things are coming.
So, until that time, stay safe. Chag Sameach. Hope to see you all soon. Bye, everyone.